Welcome to We Wine Whenever. Grab your glass and join three Jersey Shore housewives, Wendy, Kelly, and Lori, as they dive into everything from Bravo drama to life's everyday chaos. It's unfiltered, it's hilarious, and it's the real talk you've been waiting for, from relationship to pop culture. We drink wine whenever, and we hope you do too. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a 5-star review. Cheers! Hi, welcome to We Wine Whenever. I'm Wendy.
I'm Kelly.
And we are talking about The Valley, Season 2, Episode number 10, You've Been Served.
Ooh,
it's a good name.
Appropriately titled.
I agree. We start out with Jesse picking up Jax at rehab. He says he can't believe that he did 30 days. I really don't think he did do 30 days. I don't know. I feel like...
I don't even know if he ever went anywhere.
Listen,
I think he was in the basement this whole time.
On Watch What Happens Live, he did name the facility he went to.
He did, and I'm wondering if he was supposed to.
Well, I don't know if he was supposed to, but he did, and I did look it up. And it is a facility, but it is what it is, right?
Right, yeah.
So Jack says he was safe in rehab. He said for 7 hours a day for 30 days he was in therapy. In his confessional, he says he was reckless and wasn't being held accountable. And he said this more than once in this episode, that he was 7 hours a day for 30 days in therapy. I do not believe he was 7 hours a day for 30 days in therapy. I don't believe that that is in fact what was happening. But in his mind, and I really believe in his mind, that was what was happening.
Right. But it definitely was not.
Right. Jax is complaining that no one came to visit him. Jax found out
because Jesse said everyone's hurting, and he said nobody's hurting. No one's hurting. They were all partying.
Yeah, he said that he found out that they were partying at his bar and that they renamed it Britt's. That was just the night before. I mean, it's not like that was going on for 30 days, Jax. Like, let's get real.
Right.
So I guess Jesse brings him home, which I really didn't expect this to happen. And he finds his stuff in the trash bags, which we knew that was happening. And Jack says Brittany needs to know that this house needs to go on the market immediately. No woman needs a 5-bedroom house with 7 bathrooms. She's a single woman with 1 child. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait.
I don't think you're in a position to make any demands right now, Jack.
Right. Exactly.
And he said, I'm giving her my $20,000 love sack couch. Now, first of all.
Yes, exactly.
I'm pretty sure you had that couch before you probably even started dating Brittany.
And God knows what's growing on that couch. God knows what's growing on that couch.
Yeah. Like, I think it's paid for itself by now.
Yes.
And you're out of your fucking mind.
Yes, I completely agree. Then he says that he stopped paying the mortgage when he found out about Julian. Wait, no. I mean, seriously, that's what you're going with? Because of Julian, you stopped paying the mortgage? You stopped paying the mortgage because you were a coke addict and you weren't paying attention. You did not have your eye on the ball and you did not know what the fuck was going on.
Right.
That's why you stopped paying the mortgage.
I do believe he did it out of spite because she was dating that guy. But I don't think it would have mattered who she was dating.
No.
I think just knowing that she was with somebody else out of spite, he stopped paying the mortgage and didn't tell her.
Right. He said.
And Jesse's face when he says it, like, even Jesse's like, bro.
He said, good, I hope the house goes into foreclosure. Those were his exact words. And that's when Jesse was like, whoa. He's trying to tell Jack that he needs to not overreact because people are going to say that you haven't changed. Jesse is trying to give him some guidance. Like,
for sure.
You need to put on the facade that you've changed, even if you haven't. You need to pretend because, like, no one has sympathy for you, Jax. Nobody feels bad for you.
No.
Nobody.
And the fact that he keeps saying alcohol and drugs weren't my problem.
Right.
My anger's my problem. No. Because a lot of people have anger issues.
Right.
And they don't all abuse substances as a result of.
Right.
And then when Jesse mentions the party, you see Jax's whole demeanor change.
Yeah. Jesse's
he gets that look in his eyes.
Yeah. Do you know about my party tomorrow? He's like, Zack wanted to have a welcome home party for Benji, and his place was too small. And so I offered him my place to have the welcome home party. And Jax is like, well, it's at your place. I don't care. I'm going. I'm going.
Well, first of all, Jesse shouldn't have called it his party.
Yeah. It was Zach's party. It happened to be hosted at your place because his place was too small.
Right. And why would Jax want to go to any party that Zack is hosting? Like, you clearly don't get along.
Right.
He doesn't
Right.
want to see you.
Right.
You
He
shouldn't
wa-
want to see him.
Right. And he also said, Michelle's already declined. Like, Michelle's not going to be there because it's at his house. And well, Jax is like, I don't care. I'm coming. And Jesse's like, well, it's not my party though. And Jax says, well, I don't care. He was going to my bar. Your bar was a fucking public place.
Not only that, you know what I saw online? I don't know if it says Jax's bar outside. It's not just Jax's bar.
No, it's
It's
not.
another bar, and it's like a patio
A
off
section
of that
of it.
bar.
A section
I didn't
of
know
it.
that.
No, I knew that. Yeah, no, it's another bar and a section of it was Jax's. Exactly. The other place was existing.
Right.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So then we see Zack is on his way to pick up Benji at LAX, and he's talking on the phone with Jasmine.
Very
Jesse,
pissed off because he's going to LAX in rush hour, and he must really love this guy.
yes,
I mean, you guys live in LA. You know what the traffic is. It's like
Yeah.
complaining about the traffic in Jersey.
yes, it is. It absolutely is. Jesse told Zack that Jax is coming, so he at least has a heads up. And Jasmine is saying we need to make sure we give Jax a space to show us he's changed. Why all of a sudden is Jasmine team Jax? Like, why do we need to give Jax the space?
I think Jasmine is doing whatever she has to do to play a good side with everybody to
Yeah.
stay relevant on the show. Honestly.
No, you're right. I'm sure you're right. I seriously am over Jasmine. I'm
Mhm.
over Michelle. I don't care to see them on anymore. Like, once the season's
Oh,
over.
Michelle too, or Janet?
Oh, I'm sorry, Janet. Jasmine,
Okay.
Janet, Melissa, Jasmine's
Right.
girlfriend. Yeah.
Right.
Jasmine,
Yeah, because
Janet.
did you see the upcoming thing where they're like talking about like, you have to get me a ring? No, you have to get me a ring. So is there an engagement coming up for them? Because I could see them
probably.
doing it just for the show. Like
Yeah,
Luke,
can
I
too.
think is really proposing because he wants to marry Kristen.
And they've been together how many years now at this point? Like, it's not like it just came out of the blue. So then we see Aaron and Michelle. They're playing with his dog. Michelle said that Isabella and Aaron have a really good relationship.
Did you notice that the dog's name was Kilo?
No. Oh, no, I didn't notice that. That's odd.
I don't know if I just have Miami on my mind, but I just thought of cocaine.
Yeah.
Unless Kilo has another meaning, like is there like a character somewhere with the name Kilo? I don't know. I just immediately thought of cocaine.
But listen, kilo is a measurement. Like, it is a measurement regardless, right?
Okay.
I mean, it's a measurement.
To measure cocaine.
Yeah, I mean, what else are you measuring in kilos? Because it's a tiny measurement.
I don't know.
Right?
Exactly.
It's weird. That's weird.
I just thought it was a little odd.
That is odd.
Okay.
That is odd. It is, definitely. Michelle gives an update on her mom. She said she's deteriorating, and she sent an email to Jesse to let him know, and she wanted Isabella to spend some time with her mom, and he said no in the email. Now, I don't know if that's exactly what happened, because later on or on the after show, I heard something different. But
Yeah.
either way, like, her mom is deteriorating, and Isabella is her granddaughter. And if Michelle is asking for her to spend time with her, why would you say no? Like, I don't get that. I really don't get
I
that.
think it wasn't he on with no, Tom Schwartz was on with Jax. It might have been the after show, and what he was saying was,
He
or
didn't
maybe it's at
know.
the end of this episode.
He said-
didn't know how bad it was, and they need to have a conversation with Isabella about death and mortality first.
Yes, yes.
I don't personally agree with that. I say let the little girl go see her grandma, and then when something happens, you explain it to her. But I guess everybody has the right to parent their kid individually with that.
Right. And I think what
I
he
don't know.
said, I think his point about it was, like, he wants to have a conversation with Michelle about it and not just do it over email. And every time they trying to have a conversation about Isabella, it just doesn't go well, regardless of what the topic of the conversation is.
Yeah, and I think he puts it out there that he's this easygoing guy, and
Right.
he makes it very easy for Michelle to talk to him. I don't necessarily think that's the truth, though. I think there's two sides to him, and he is only showing us one, but
Yeah,
Michelle has seen a different side.
I totally agree with you on that. I totally agree. And then we see, so Jason and Danny are getting together with Jax and Dave, his business partner. We find out that Jason and Danny are still not good, but Jason has decided that he's going to put it aside for now for Jax so that they can, go to this dinner or whatever the heck it is together, right? He's still
And
pissed off at
Jesse's there
Danny,
too.
and Jesse's there as well. Jason's still pissed off at Danny about what happened with him at Jax's place when they were calling it Britt's, when they were calling him Dark Side Danny and saying that he was out of control.
And then they kept saying blacked out. He blacked out. He didn't black out. I mean, I don't know what their definition of blackout is, but I blacked out. That's not a blackout.
Right.
He was totally coherent, obnoxious, sure. Bringing up something, not something everybody wants to talk about right now, sure. But he wasn't blacked out. He wasn't belligerent. He wasn't cursing. He wasn't yelling.
Right. I agree with you. Like, my definition of blackout is one, like you literally black out, like you pass out.
Yeah, like somebody's carrying you out of the place.
Right. You are unconscious and have no memory of what happened. That is my definition of blackout. So it appears to me what was actually happening, like you said, is maybe he was intoxicated and saying things that were or were not true, but maybe wouldn't have been said had he been intoxicated, like not intoxicated, right?
Right. And maybe he was on his way to becoming Dark Side Danny. And you could see it in Nia's eyes where she was like, all right, we got to go.
Right.
But he wasn't there. We didn't see it.
We did not see it. And as his wife, that is Nia's prerogative to get her husband or try and get her husband out of a situation that she thinks is not going to be good for him. Because that is what we do as wives. If we have a good relationship with our husband, as wives, we try to make them look the best in public as they can, whether they are right or not. That is what a good wife does.
And they'll do the same for us.
Exactly. And that is what a good husband does, right?
Yes.
And that does not mean that there is a problem in either the marriage or their individual situation. It does not mean that. You can't make that giant leap from one thing to another. And that is what
interesting on the Watch What Happens Live, though, when I forget what Andy asked. Who's hiding more in their marriage, Nia and Danny or Janet and Jason? And neither Jax nor Tom Schwartz would answer.
And Jax said, I know the answer, but Tom would not even indicate that he knew the answer.
Right. And Andy basically said, so you're saying it's Nia and Danny? And he's like, I'm not saying that. But he was totally alluding to that. But again, why are we even asking Jax this question?
What? Yeah.
Jax needs to never say a negative thing about anybody ever again, which I guess basically he didn't, but he definitely alluded to it.
No, he definitely did.
But let's not even give Jax a platform to trash talk anybody.
Right. I totally agree. So they all get there and they're having this dinner for Jax, right? And Jax says that he learned, while he was in rehab, that drinking and drugs is not his problem. And that's not most people's problems. There's deeper issues that make you go to cope with anger issues.
What? I mean, he's not wrong where most people who have addiction issues have underlying issues.
Listen, it's called co-occurring disorders. That's what it's called. You have mental health issues and you have addiction issues. It's co-occurring disorders. It is not that you don't have one problem.
Right.
It's co-occurring. They both are problems.
And one may have led to the other, but you're right. They both exist.
They both exist. Jax is dismissing one because of the other.
And it's his caveat if he wants to drink, although he did uphold that on Watch What Happens Live that he has been sober ever since he left rehab. Or wherever he was.
He did say that. Yes, he did say that. I think that there's some sort of fib in that because I feel like we know that there was a slip up and he had to go back to rehab. So I don't know if he's
referring. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, there was.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yes. He came out and then there was some sort of slip up where Brittany got producers involved for a second time. and he had to go back.
Interesting.
So
Well, I'll tell you this much. If you have a cocaine addiction, you probably shouldn't drink.
No,
because
100%.
one thing's going to lead to another.
I'm
going to say in my own personal belief, and that means nothing to anybody else except me, I don't think weed does for whatever reason. I think if you're a recovering addict and you smoke weed, take gummies, I think you can hold it at that. But the drinking, I think, will lead back to something bigger if you have that in you. That's just my personal opinion and belief, though. I'm no professional, clearly.
And everyone has their own opinion about that, right? So there's that thing that you're calling, right? The California sober.
California sober, yeah.
Right, where weed is allowed, but nothing else is.
Right.
And I think, like you're saying, maybe for some people that does work. But I think for others, especially if you have a mental health component and you're on medication, if you are self-medicating with marijuana as well as medicating with prescription drugs, there is a very toxic component to that.
Yeah. Yes. If you're on medicine for your mental health, yeah. No, that wouldn't be good.
So whether that medicine is prescribed, right? If you're on prescribed medicine and you are taking marijuana recreationally or you're taking alcohol recreationally with the prescribed medication, there's not going to be a good outcome. I'm going to tell you that right now. I can speak from facts, from not personal experience, but personal experience. You cannot mix them. You cannot mix them because they are mind altering and they're brain altering and they, you can't mix them.
Yeah.
And
again, we're not medical professionals. We're just giving
we're moms. That's what we are. We're moms who have an opinion, right? And Jax went to what he calls, in quotes, a rehab where they told him he didn't have a problem. And he admitted to us that he was a cocaine addict. So you tell me what is real. Like, come on.
Right.
Come on. It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
I totally agree.
So he says,
and his business partner couldn't wait to bring up the Britt's party.
Yeah. So Jack says there's deeper issues, and he tells his friends that he wants them to make him accountable. And Jason says, okay, regarding accountability with drinking, does that mean you're going to go to Jax's and like have 2 or 3 beers, or does that mean you're going to go to Jax's and like tie one on sometimes? And Jack says, listen, I'm going to sit right here and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to stop drinking. I'm not going to drink today, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to stop drinking.
Right. He said, I'm not going to stop drinking. I'm just not going to get drunk.
Right.
Well, wouldn't it be great if everybody had that kind of control over themselves?
Right. I mean,
I don't even have that kind of control over myself sometimes.
You're an addict. You already said you're an addict, but yet you're going to control whether or not you get drunk. Come on. Come on. And I'm not going to get shit-faced. Those were his exact words. I'm not going to get drunk. I'm not going to get shit-faced. But I'm not going to stop drinking. His business partner, Dave, at that time says, okay, well, why don't we talk about the fact that you're gone for 30 days and you guys hijack his bar?
That was fucked up.
That was so messed up.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It really was.
You're his business partner and you're his friend? No, you're not.
No, you're not.
No,
you just clearly wanted to be on camera.
Yeah.
And you knew if you said that, you would be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he kind of goes in on Danny about it. It's like Jesse and Jason were there too.
Yeah. I mean,
Jesse was very vocal about not wanting to partake. Jesse probably just shouldn't have gone. He shouldn't have. If he felt that strongly about it, he shouldn't have went. But Jason was right there in the mix.
Yeah, I don't know why Danny got so much heat for that, except for the fact that I feel like, this is what I feel like. And I think I sent it to you today, like that. The theory is that Jax had in his mind that he was going to take down Nia and Danny because they were the fan favorites and he's going to do whatever he needs to do to take them down. And I think that's horrible. I'm going to tell you right now, I still like Danny. I still like Nia. I think that Danny does drink too much sometimes, but you know what? So do I. I do too. So do I.
We don't get nasty or ignorant or belligerent. We don't.
No.
But we do drink too much sometimes.
And I don't think Danny does either. I don't think Danny does
I
either.
mean, he definitely must show some kind of behavior if they're calling him Dark Side Danny. He must, say things he shouldn't say. Obviously, we know he pinched somebody's ass, but, nothing he's going to get thrown in jail for.
Right. It's not like he's getting violent. It's not like he's putting except for the pinching. It's not like he's putting hands on people, right?
Right. In a violent manner. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So,
he gets a little flirty. Okay.
Yes.
Right? I mean, I feel like they want to divert the attention off of Jax and Jesse, not just Jax, because Jesse is just as much of a bad guy as Jack.
Yeah, people aren't seeing it that way.
I know.
People are not seeing it that way.
I know.
People have sympathy for him. Like, I can't believe it. They're like, Michelle cheated on him. She's a cheater. I'm like, oh my God. But Jack's trying to tell Danny that he's got a problem. That's a joke. If I were Danny, I would have gotten up and walked out at that point.
I think Danny is an overall good guy. I think he's a gentleman. I really do. In his confessional, he said, dude, why are you being so angry? You just came out of facility for 30 days that was supposed to be dealing with your anger. Not sure it worked. 100% agree, because you're going after
100%.
Danny.
Yep.
And then Jax
and
asks,
then
like,
when Jason starts going after Danny, Jax is sitting there with this shit-eating grin on his face. Did you see that?
I did. I mean, Jason is the most... He's a jellyfish. He has zero spine. He is actually a jellyfish.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And it's honestly, it's embarrassing. I think it's embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
Jack says, like, what happened when you were in Santa Barbara? And Jason and Jesse said, oh, Santa Barbara was a good time. Danny said, yeah, he had a good time. Jesse said, oh, you had a good time blacking out?
Yeah, what are you talking about? Oh, Santa Barbara.
I mean, but still,
God,
he didn't black out.
Sleep for
He went to
out
sleep.
loud.
There's a difference between blacking out and going to sleep. Seriously, there is a difference.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he walked himself to the bed and said he would wake up super early that morning, or did he go home the night before to get up for work?
He worked. He worked
like,
all
he
day.
either had to go late the night before or very early in the morning and drive all the way out to LA.
Yes.
And work and then go home and do something for her because she asked him to, and then come all the way back. Like, I'd be fucking exhausted. I can't handle that shit.
Yep. And then when he got there and he met them, he was trying to catch up, so he did drink a lot quickly.
I would have done the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. What is the big deal?
He doesn't have his 3 kids who are under 3 years old, for crying out loud. Cut the guy a break.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel about it.
You know what? That's the problem. All these other people only have 1 kid. I mean, think about how easy your life would have been when you had 1 kid, or how it was when you had 1 kid.
Honestly, I don't even remember, because it was only
and you don't think it's easy but then when you have more, you're like, fuck, what did I just do?
That is so true. I will tell you this. Yes, when I had 1, I was like, oh my God, it's such a pain in the ass to go out. You got to put the car seat in, you got to do this, da, da, da. And then I had 2. I was like, no, 1 was really easy, right? 1 was easy. And then I had 2, and I was like, oh my God, this is really, 2 under 2, right? 2 under 2. I was like, oh my God, this is so much harder. And then when the 3rd came around, now I have 3 under 5, under 4. At that time, I had 3 under 4. No, you only have 2 hands.
That's right.
You only have 2 hands.
You're at the point where you're outnumbered. Eric and I always said that we just didn't want to be outnumbered.
Yes,
that's why it was 2 kids, 2 girls, 2 boys, 1 girl, 1 boy.
Yep.
It didn't matter. We didn't want to be outnumbered.
When you have 3, you're outnumbered by hands and manpower, because there's only 2 of you.
Right. You can't play. You can't play man on man or zone.
No, you can't.
When you have 3.
You can't. As a mom of 3, I can speak to this. I 100% can speak to this. And
so these people don't know. Janet and Jason have 1. Jax and Brittany have 1. Jesse and Michelle have 1.
They don't know. They
don't know.
Jasmine
has 0. Let the fucking guy drink. Let him chug that tequila in the closet.
Yeah. Honestly, I was not drinking when I had 3 at that young, but I should have been, because this would have been a whole different me. I should have been.
I do. Listen, when my kids were little, I did not have a glass of wine. I wasn't drinking as much as I do now. But
me neither.
I would not even pour a glass of wine until my kids were in bed sleeping. Of course, at the time they were going to bed at 8:30, the latest. But I wouldn't even pour a glass of wine. I never wanted to feel like I couldn't care for them, God forbid. You know what I mean?
Right.
I couldn't be buzzed and care for my kids.
No, I completely agree with you. Listen, I did not really, and not even like I drink that much now, but I did not really drink at all until my kids were at least, able to be functioning, get up themselves,
Yeah.
dress
Go to the
themselves,
bathroom themselves.
go to the
Yeah,
bathroom themselves, go downstairs and find something to eat for breakfast, whether it be cereal or a Pop-Tart. Like,
Right.
there was no anything until then, because like you said, like I was a mom, you were a mom.
Unless we went away and we
Unless-
didn't have our kids with us and someone else was caring for them.
Right. And by the way,
Like
that never
this
happened.
situation.
Right. And that never happened for me.
Very
never
rarely.
happened for me. Right. It just didn't happen.
Maybe once or twice a year, I would ask my mother to take my kids overnight for me so Eric and I could go out.
Yeah.
Once or twice a year.
Exactly. So let Danny do Danny. Right.
Yes. Yes.
Then Jack says, listen, I heard that there was a little incident with tequila in the pantry. Come on, Jack. Seriously?
Yeah. So who told him that? I'm sure Janet.
Jesse.
I'm sure on that phone call.
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah. Jesse said, well, we don't call him Dark Side Danny anymore. We call him Pantry Danny.
And Jason's like, I still call him Dark Side Danny.
Right. Jack. Yep. That's what he said. And Danny's like, I apologize to you. And Jason said, well, you don't even know what you were apologizing for. And Danny's like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. He said, no, you were blackout drunk. Danny said, no, I wasn't. He knows what he was apologizing for. So accept his apology or don't. Don't tell him he doesn't know what he's apologizing for, because he apologized and he said he knows what he's apologizing for. So Jax is trying to tell Danny he has a problem and needs help. Jax is trying to tell Danny that?
Like, are you kidding me?
What? Come on. And Jason's there agreeing with it. Okay.
Of course. Of course.
Jason's sitting there really going for Danny, and Jax is like enjoying that the focus is not only on him and that Danny's there to deflect.
And he's got this creepy ass smile on him, Jax.
Yep.
It was a really fucked up scene, I thought, quite honestly.
I did too. Listen, I had lost respect for Jax a long time ago, but after watching that, solidified it, because it's like, you are a piece of shit. You are a piece of shit. You treated your wife the way you treated your wife, and now you're sitting here on your high horse after being at your fake fucking rehab, your fake rehab for 30 days.
Right.
And you're
already saying you're not going to stop drinking. You're already saying that.
Right. Because
not acknowledging you have a problem.
Right. That was not a problem. And now you're going after Danny? Come on.
And then we find out that he hasn't even seen Cruz yet. Right. He went for a haircut, met with friends, and got Botox.
Yep. Didn't
Before
even reach
he
out.
even saw his kid.
Right.
And put the blame on Brittany.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is the problem. This is the problem with Michelle and Jesse and Brittany and Jax. I don't think we're ever going to know the true story, because we're hearing Jax's side and Brittany's side. Brittany's saying you didn't reach out. Jax is saying she's got him blocked, or whatever he said. And the same thing with Michelle and Jesse. Like, I don't think we're getting the truth.
Well, Brittany said she unblocked him on Wednesday. I mean, she gave the day she unblocked him. So I honestly, seriously doubt that that's not true. Why would she say I unblocked him?
No, that's what I mean.
Right. He assumed he was blocked because he was blocked before and didn't even try to reach out to her.
Right. And don't they have somebody mediating this? Like,
no.
You can't not talk to each other and co-parent without someone else being a mediator or being involved. You can't.
I feel like, and I could be wrong, but I feel like when Jesse picked him up from rehab and they went back to the house, I feel like the only people that were mediating that situation was production. I feel like production.
Frightening.
Right. I feel like that's
frightening, because they're producing a show.
Absolutely.
They're going to do what's best for the show. They're not going to do what's best for Brittany, Jax, or Cruz.
Exactly. And I feel like that's what was happening based on what we saw. We saw Jesse bring him home to the house and him find his stuff there, him being all upset about it, and then Jason rolling up, and then Jason saying, I'm getting a text from Brittany and she wants you to leave the computer because she wants to wipe it. And then you're saying, oh, I already brought it to my house. That's all production. All of that was going on was production. And then we see them leave with the truck, and then we see Brittany roll up. That's all production.
Yeah. She
There
left for
was
7 hours.
Yeah. Like, that's insanity to me, that there was not some sort of professional there making sure, like, I don't know, like, why was he even allowed in the house? She wants the
Right.
password for the cameras. She wants him to log out of the cameras. I'm not doing that unless I can see Cruz. Meanwhile, she's watching him say that.
My God, that was so funny.
I mean, honestly, after watching this episode, I've never liked Schwartz more in my life.
I know.
Like, he was
And on Watch What Happens Live, he was so good.
he was
Everything
so
he said
good.
about Katie, like she's beautiful, she's crushing it, she's in love.
Yes.
Like he's grown, Schwartz, as far as we could tell he's grown. But listen, just the way he's speaking about Katie.
Yes, and
Is
not to
growth.
mention how he's trying to guide Jax.
Yeah. Wow.
And,
he might want to save his breath.
I know. It's like, so before that even happens, so it's Zach's throwing the surprise party for Benji, right? And he's doing it at Jesse's house. I did think it was hysterical about how nobody could figure out how to open Jesse's front door. Every single
That was
person.
very funny.
Like there's two things there. There's like a lever and there's a knob, and nobody can get into Jesse's house.
And the fact that they put the sign when you first walk in, but then hid in the back of the
I mean, according to Zack, that was all Jasmine. Like Jasmine, you had he said you had one job.
That was really funny though. Like, you could totally tell like that was not set up. That was totally,
Yeah,
real.
she totally screwed it up. She totally screwed it up.
That was really funny.
It was funny. I know. So we see like Nia's talking to Janet about Danny and Jasmine's conversation. And Janet said, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I did speak negatively behind Danny's back because I thought his actions were horrible. All right. I'm glad that you're being honest about it. But who are you to judge him? Seriously, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are?
The thing is that these are all friends. So supposedly. So Danny made a mistake. He apologized to Jasmine and Melissa. They accepted his apology and they've moved on. So that's the point where Janet should stop talking about it. But she physically can't. But
Right.
I heard somebody say it on social media and I was like, man, that they nailed it. She has been studying reality TV for so long and has wanted this so badly for so long. She is just, she's doing the work. She's doing the work. She's being a shit ass friend. She's coming off like a complete asshole. The public hates her, but she's still doing it because she thinks it's good reality TV.
So this is so true. So last week when we were talking about it, we were talking about like how Jason came into the picture. And I said to you, I thought Sheena was the way. And it was. Sheena hooked up with Jason. It was just a hookup. Janet met Sheena via fangirling. That's how
exactly.
Janet
stalked Sheena at the Madrion, wherever they all go.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly where Michelle had lunch with Quentin Tarantino. But yeah, she stalked her. Janet stalked Sheena.
Yes. And they became friends. And Sheena had hooked up with Jason, but Jason wasn't really, her type. So then Janet swooped in, and that's how Janet and Jason became to be.
Mm-hmm.
So if that doesn't tell you anything about her character, listen, I don't know what does. I don't know what does.
Totally agree.
And honestly, I was saying that I like Jason and, he's like stuck by Janet. He knows what he's doing. He knows who his wife is. He knows who he married. He is just as guilty as she is. And it disgusts me because he stands by as like, I'm the righteous one. No, Jason, you are not the righteous one. No, you're not, because you are the one throwing Danny under the bus.
Right. Because your wife is basically telling you to.
Right. You are
because of reality TV.
Right.
Like these were your friends.
Yep.
You're supposed to be raising your kids together. This show took a really dark turn.
It really
with
did.
Friendships.
It really did. It really did. So when they're there, like I said, Janet is talking to Nia, and Nia, Janet says that she thinks that, the way Danny acted was horrible. And Nia repeats, horrible? Janet says, yeah, I feel bad for you. Look, I'm sorry that this happened, truly, but your husband's going to be going to a public bar and getting blacked out and acting a fool. What?
He
Who
was
are
not blacked
you?
out.
He
Right.
was not.
They're on like a smear campaign against him.
Yep. Making women feel uncomfortable. Like, these are buzzwords. These are things that
Yep.
people say when they
Yep.
want you to be canceled, right?
Yep.
You want to
Yes.
cancel somebody? Say that you're making women feel uncomfortable.
Do you remember at the end of last season in one of Jax's confessionals, he said, like, wait until the truth comes out about Danny and Nia. He said that in one of his confessionals last season.
I don't
Towards
remember
the end
that.
of the season. So I agree with you. I think that Jax is also behind trying to get Danny and Nia off the show. And I think Janet is right there as his wingman.
Yeah, and it's like
And Janet probably thinks aligning herself with Jax is a smart move because he thinks it's his show. It's not his show, but
he said in this episode it's his show.
he sure did.
He said in this episode.
And Zach's response, not for the past 30 days it wasn't, was the best. I saw a meme today with Zach and it said new #1 guy in the group. Awesome.
So Nia says to Janet, he was not blacked out. He had 2 seltzers. Janet said, okay, if he has that kind of behavior after 2 seltzers, that's also concerning. And she said it so like self-righteously.
She did, but Danny definitely had more than 2 seltzers that night
He
because we
did.
saw him drinking something
I
else.
know, he did. But listen, it's his
He
wife.
wasn't blacked out.
He wasn't blacked out, and of course she's going to defend him. Nia said, what kind of behavior? Janet said, well, he was having a conversation saying I'm a snake. Well, you are a fucking snake, Janet. You are a snake. Like,
right.
I mean, did he say something that wasn't right? You are a snake.
And pretty much all of America agrees with him, so.
Right. Okay, well, if he was sober, then maybe he's not a drunk asshole. Maybe he's just an asshole. Maybe you're a fucking asshole, Janet. Maybe that's the problem.
What I think it is. Exactly.
Yeah. So Nia says, I think you're intentionally trying to, paint a bad light on him. And Janet said, I'm bringing the truth. And she's like, well, you're going to sweep it under the rug. Nia said, no, I'm talking to you directly. We have, you and I are talking about this directly. We have issues in our marriage that we deal with directly. Like, stop saying I'm trying to sweep things under the rug. I'm trying to tell you what the situation is. I handle my marriage. And she said, you better watch what you say and the way that you say things to me. Nia says this to Janet, and I agree with her because what she's saying is slanderous. It's absolutely slanderous.
The whole thing is slanderous. It's like, and again, this is supposed to be your friend. Why are you treating your friend like this?
Yep.
Just because you think it's good as a reality TV personality? I'm not even going to call her a star because she's not.
No,
she's not a reality TV star.
No.
She's a personality and a shitty one.
No, she is. And she's like, okay, if you think this is okay, then you know what? I'm good. And she gets up and walks away. And as soon as she walks away, she runs over to Jason. And like the two of them are like talking about the same thing. And Jason's like, oh, yeah. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Yep. So then Jax shows up in the midst of all this and Brittany's there, but she's outside. And the two of them, you find out like they're both nervous about the other one being there. Then Kristen goes up to Jax and starts talking to Jax. And Jax says to Kristen, oh, I saw your Brit's party. That was nice. And Kristen's like, listen, let her have her moment. Jax said she had her moment for a month, meaning when he was gone.
Yeah, like she could only have a moment when you're gone.
Right. Kristen says, listen, I'm sad for her. Jax said, I'm sad also. Again, bringing it back to him.
He can't help himself, even when he was on Watch What Happens Live with Shorts. Andy would ask Tom a question, and Jax would make it about himself.
Yep. I know. I think he made himself look way worse than he did prior to being on Watch What Happens Live. And I didn't even think that was possible. I was like, this guy is the villain of all villains. And then Watch What Happens Live, he was even worse.
Even worse.
So then Jax is like, I need a cup in my hand. Like, I'm going to go get some water. Okay, Jack, go get yourself some water. Nia's talking to Jesse about Isabella spending time with her grandmother. Listen, I like that Nia was having that conversation with Jesse.
And this is when he says the thing about having the conversation with her about death and
the
mortality.
mortality. Yeah. He's like, listen, I had no idea how sick she was. And I actually kind of believe that may be true. I don't know, but
either that or he thought, again, because of their strained relationship, maybe he thought Michelle was
trying to manipulate the situation,
amplifying it and manipulating, which you would pray to God that she wouldn't. This is her mother's life. So, but their relationship is so strained that,
Right.
Ugh.
Right. No, I was glad to see.
You don't know who to believe.
Exactly. But I was glad to see that Nia was kind of painting the picture to Jesse as to what was going on. And Jesse said, listen, she needs to spend all the time she can with her grandmother, but we need to have a conversation. And when we can't talk because it's not good. Okay, I'm going to give him that. I'm going to say that was real, and I'm going to give him that grace, right? I hope that is in fact true. I don't know if it is or not, but I'm going to give it to him.
I don't either.
So then we see Jack's cheers to Zack. Zack said, I'm proud of you for doing what you did. Jack said, and he goes again, I did 7 hours a day for 30 days, which we all know is fucking bullshit. And Zack says, well, did you take notes? He said, yeah. He said, what about all the texting that you were doing to Brittany? And Jack's is like, well, she took my son away from me. She wouldn't let me see him. And Zack's like, no, she did not take your son away from you. He's like, well, she said she was going to bring him to see me. And then she didn't. And Zack is like,
it is interesting that it's not that it's interesting that she didn't go see him. I mean, listen, I've visited people in rehab, but they were separated and it was such a hostile situation. I don't blame her for not going. And I guess really you're not going to bring Cruz there.
No.
You're not going to bring a young kid there. So, I mean, who knows if she even said, we'll come visit. I doubt she did.
Listen, I believe that she probably did. I believe she had intentions. I believe that Brittany really did love Jax. And I believe
that for sure.
I believe that she was happy that he was going to rehab. And I believe that she said, I'll bring Cruz to see you. But then he's rage texting her every day and stalking her and doing all these other things. So she's like, why am I going to, I'm not going to do this.
Right. Because he clearly didn't make any progress.
Right.
He was still doing those things.
Right. Right. And, Zack is is calling Jax out on his behavior. You left he said you left your random rehab for an hour and uncovered the cameras. Jack said it's not a random rehab. It's a very nice rehab. Zack said, yeah, it's probably like a resort, which we've all been saying. It probably is like a resort.
Yeah.
Jack said, I don't need to be aggressiveness moving forward. We're not talking about the text. We're talking about what I did 5 years ago. Now, Zack said, no, I'm talking about what you did 5 days ago.
Right. And Jack said, I uncovered the cameras to see who was coming in and out of my home.
Right.
But you wouldn't let Brittany see who was coming in and out of your home when you were there.
Right.
You had the cameras covered.
Right. Right. He said, because my son's there and I want to know who's there with my son. So yeah, I was looking at the cameras. No, you were looking at the cameras because you're a fucking asshole. And you're a control freak.
You wanted to see who Brittany was with. Right.
Right. You're a control freak. And then Jack said, well, everyone in here needs rehab and therapy. And Zack said, yeah, 100%. I go to therapy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Jack said, this is not a bash party for Jax. And if I'm going to do this, then, I'm going to walk. And Zack's like, fine, there's the door. Go walk.
Yeah.
Go get out.
Beat it.
And he's like, well, no,
nobody wanted you here anyway.
Right. He's like, I want to talk to Brittany first. He's like, no, you're not going to talk to Brittany because she doesn't want to talk to you. And Jax is like, well, that's none of your business. And I don't want you coming to my bar either. I'm like, what?
It was like a playground fight.
Exactly. Are we toddlers? Yeah. Are we on the playground?
Yep.
So then Jax goes up to Jesse and says, listen, I'm going to take off.
First he says, my show. This is my show.
That's right. He did. He said, this is my show. He said it like 3 times too, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is my show.
Pointing to himself with that look on his face.
Yeah. That crazy look.
Crazy look. That should make everybody in that room scared.
We should look and see what day he actually came out of the fake rehab to see if it actually was his sober day. Because I'm telling you it is not. Because it came out that
I believe it.
He went back. So then, like I said, Jax goes over to Jesse and says, I'm going to take off. And Jesse says, you knew it wasn't going to be easy. And you said that you were going to have take some humble pie. Like Jesse wanted him to go there and show up and show that he had changed, but he was
Right.
not capable of doing that because that's not who he is. So, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. So he leaves, and then we see him the next day at the house packing up the furniture. He's got the movers there.
What the
Jason,
hell was he wearing around his neck?
no.
That big fucking silver rope chain. What? You're not a rapper.
And we've never seen that before either. Like, where did that come from?
You're not a rapper and you're not 12.
Right. It
Like,
was weird.
what are you doing? And do you have any other clothes other than Jax's bar?
I know.
A little concerned.
I know.
And he still has not seen his son.
Right. Still hasn't seen his son. Blaming Brittany for the whole thing. Still blaming Brittany.
Not logging out of the cameras until he sees his son.
Right. And they're trying, both Jason and Schwartz are trying to say, look, listen, man, like, you can't do that. Like, you need to show that you've changed. Like, stop. Like, you got to do the right thing. Schwartz says, you have to, it's all about how you handle yourself the next few months. Like, you need to show that you've changed. And then maybe you can start asking for things. But like, you're not in the place to be asking for things right now. So they leave, and then we see Brittany comes home and she finds a picture of her dad in the garbage. I mean, come on.
That was terrible.
And obviously he's uncovered the cameras. Janet comes in with the computer. I guess she went over to Jax's house and got the computer back. Brittany goes into the garage and she gets a little emotional because she sees that it's empty, and she's like now it's really real for her. And
yeah, that was his space.
Yeah, although like she wants him gone, she's still sad because she still loves him. So she's
again,
crying.
we've said this about a lot of people. Like, it might not even be that she's going to miss him, obviously, because of their tumultuous relationship, but it's just hard if your family unit breaks up. They were a family unit, Jax, Brittany, and Cruz, and now that's broken up. So despite how you feel about that other person, it's your family unit breaking up.
Yes, that's true.
That's
So they say that the house is in both of their names. I think Jack said this, but Brittany's going to be taking over the payments. Brittany, this is when she finds, she says she unblocked him on Wednesday and he's not even tried to see the son. Brittany tells Janet that she filed and he will be served on Tuesday, and she doesn't want him to know until it actually happens.
How about the burner account?
Oh my God. That was
Frank Dremen. And then we find out on Watch What Happens Live.
It's not even the right name.
Andy is shady as fuck. It was really Frank Drebin or whatever.
Yes, from Naked Gun.
So funny. Like, you can't even be slick when you're trying to be slick, Jax.
Yep. I mean, if that didn't make him look like an idiot, I don't know what does.
What did Schwartz say?
He's like, I'm embarrassed for him. Like,
I'm embarrassed for him and desperate. He said it was desperate. And Jax is like, everybody has a burner account, whether they tell you or not. Tom Schwartz is like, I've never, ever had a burner account.
And you know what? That's Jax's answer for everything.
Absolutely.
That's his answer for everything. Well, who wouldn't react that way if their wife was? Nobody would react that way, Jax.
99% of the people.
Right.
You're the 1%.
Right. Everything he did. Well, who wouldn't do that? Nobody but you, Jax. Like, stop.
Ridiculous.
Then we see Danny and Nia at their condo, and they think that they have all three kids to bed, but all of a sudden one of them comes back out.
That was so funny. My kids never did that. Did Joe? Joe must have climbed out of his crib a couple of times. You know what used to happen to poor Joe? You know when you put your kids into a bed right from the crib and then you put those guards up?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he used to somehow fall out of bed still.
How?
I don't know, but this kid fell out of bed in the middle of the night. We'd always hear thump. And we're like, fuck, he did it again. My God, it makes so much sense. That kid used to fall out of bed all the time. So funny. But yeah, that was hysterical when that kid got it. They were like, hey, look who it is.
That's so funny. Yeah, that's so funny. And so they're talking about Nia's, she went to visit the fertility doctor and she's surprised to find out that she has more follicles than she expected. And, she's explaining to Danny that she wants to have more children or not, but if we're going to do it, it needs to be now. Like, I can't wait and hold this off. Danny's not against it, but he just wants a bigger house, which I totally get.
I mean,
they're
totally
in this tiny condo.
They have 3 kids in one bedroom, right?
Yes, they're in this tiny little condo.
You can't have 4 kids. I mean, you can have 4 kids in one bedroom, but it's not ideal.
Yeah. No,
Like, you don't have to.
Listen, I had a 2-bedroom ranch and I had 2 children. And that's when I was like, we need to get a bigger house. Like, we need to get a bigger house because the 2 were sharing a bedroom and it was a 900 square feet. Our house was 900 square feet. So we get the bigger house and then all of a sudden I get pregnant again. And then we have 3 children. But thank God we had the bigger house. But if I was in their situation, I totally get where Danny's coming from. Like, you need a bigger place.
That's probably the amount of space they have.
Right. You need a bigger place. And he says, like, we're going to make this decision within the year. And as we know, like, obviously they have, they're pregnant. But then Luke comes over to talk about how he wants to do the engagement to Kristen in Hawaii. But he wants them to say that it's their Hawaii trip because he wants to really surprise her. And Kristen is very hard to surprise because she's really involved in everyone's business because that's who Kristen is. Like, that's who Kristen is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the only way it's going to happen is if, somebody helps him. So they're like all excited about it. They're going to say it's their trip. They're going to go to Maui. And we hear that Luke bought her a modest 4-carat diamond ring. And I remember him saying,
there's really nothing modest about 4 carats.
There absolutely is not. 4 carats is ridiculous, but good for Kristen. And it costs $14,000, which, by the way, for 4 carats, I think is very reasonable.
Very reasonable.
Right? I think it's very
Yes.
I know that they are friends with Kyle Chan, who is the
I
jeweler.
know. I was just thinking they must have went to Kyle Chan. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
did.
that's really good.
It is reasonable. But I do remember Kristen saying, and even Luke saying, that she told him if he spent more than $10,000 for her ring, she would be very upset. So that was like his budget. No, 10,000.
I don't blame her.
I don't either.
I think it's ridiculous what people spend on these rings.
Unless you're extremely wealthy and money
Of
is
course.
no object, then spend how you will. But
Right.
Right.
But,
they're living in an apartment. They're living in an apartment.
And they're obviously going to be doing well. They're successful in what they're doing, but they're probably not there yet where he should be. Whatever. Everybody's entitled to do what they want. It's just a lot of money to sit on your finger.
I 100% agree. So we also find out that it's lucky that, listen, he's friends with Kyle Chan, and Kyle Chan happens to be the person who watches his gecko when he's out of town because Kyle Chan has other reptiles himself. So this is the perfect situation. He can drop off the gecko, pick up the ring, go to Maui, and Kristen will not be suspicious of the whole thing, which honestly, I think you couldn't have even planned that better if you tried.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Who knew the gecko would come in so handy?
I know, right? So then we're over at Jax's new condo with Tom. I knew that they were living at the same condo complex. I had no idea that they were literally sharing a wall and that you look over one balcony and see into the other balcony.
Me neither. And when Jack said he was going to take down the barrier between the two balconies, Tom was like, no, you're not.
I know. Not that you can't just step over it because...
Totally just climb over it. Leave the barrier there, please.
Exactly.
He did like the motion for like cornhole. I think he wanted like put a...
I was like, oh my goodness.
So funny.
I love that Tom shows up with his white orchid. Tom showing up with the houseplants. It's his thing. And I like it.
Clearly his thing.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
The two of them are like talking about what's going on, and then the doorbell rings, and Jax answers. At first, he's like, "Who's here?" And he answers the door. He's like, "Oh, okay, you're being served. Oh, it's probably about the podcast." And then he brings the papers, and Schwartz is like, "Oh, it's probably your divorce." And Jax opens up the papers, and he's like, "Oh, it is the divorce." And Schwartz is like, I love how Schwartz reacts to this, to be honest with you. He's like, "Oh."
I'm going to tell you something. I think that he knew. I think he set this whole thing up. I think he knew he was going to get served and set it up so that this would, because literally 5 minutes later, they see it on social media that she filed.
Yes.
So there's no way that a process that can happen so quickly. I think Jack set it up.
You're probably right.
He knew he was getting served, and he set it up so that he was in control of it.
You're probably right. I didn't even see that. You're probably right. For sure.
Yeah.
Because Brittany wanted it to be a surprise, but he didn't react like it was a surprise.
He did not react like he didn't know it was coming.
No, he did not.
Just the way he was like, what do I just sign them and send them back? Like, why can't I send them back to the guy? Like, no, jerk off. I'm sure you have an attorney, all the shit you've been through.
Right.
Call your fucking attorney and read this thing with an attorney.
Yeah.
You just signing it is giving her everything she wants, which he probably should just do.
I know.
I mean, do your due diligence. Call your attorney.
Right.
You know
No.
you got one.
I love the way Schwartz reacted to the whole thing, though. He's like, "Oh, all right, this is good." Like, she's setting clear boundaries. Oh, like, okay, Schwartz. All right, you
I
guys
think
really
Schwartz is going to therapy.
I know, I really do. He's like, "Well, you guys really do bring out the worst in each other," and they do. And then he's like, when Jack says, "Well, should I? Maybe I just sign it and send it back?" And Schwartz is like, "No, no, like, no, like."
When he got to the
No.
custody part, he was like, no, you're going to want to read this.
Yeah, because it's and then Jax is like, I don't even know what that means, like full legal custody. What? How can you not know what that means? Of course you know what that means.
Stupid.
Yeah, those were his exact words. I'm not really sure what full legal custody means. What? Okay. I mean, that's really plain English. It really is plain English. So, it kind of, Jack says, thank God you're here. I'm so glad that you're here to Schwartz, which honestly, I was actually, if anybody was going to be there, I'm glad it was Schwartz. I'm glad it wasn't Jesse. I'm glad it wasn't Danny. Like, Schwartz was the person to be there. He really was.
Right.
He really was. And because even Schwartz was the person to be there with him on Watch What Happens Live also. If there was anybody to be there,
I mean,
was Schwartz.
he's a good co-pilot. Like he's a good friend. He's a good support.
So it ends with Jackson, his confessional, saying it's safe to say that these are no longer the best days of our lives, which I thought was
Oh my God.
I was like,
very
oh
dramatic, but
it was
very appropriate.
actually, it was a little poetic, to be quite honest with you.
It was.
Right?
It really was.
And then next we go to Watch What Happens Live with the two of them. And when Andy's announcing them, I wrote this down, like Jax's face when he is like introducing them, his face was all red and he looked like he was pissed off. Like he didn't even say anything. Just when Andy was like, and Jax and, on who's here with me on Watch What Happens Live. And he starts out with saying like, there's a lot of people online that are not happy that you're here. Because people were pissed that he had Jax on.
I know.
That he gave Jax a platform. And Jax looked pissed. He looked pissed, like, and his face didn't look good either. Like, besides the fact that his face was red, it looked to me like he had like a scar or something going like over his forehead, over to his cheek. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
I don't know what that was about. I don't know.
His face looked puffy, but I don't want to say that because sometimes when you stop using a substance that you've been using, you do gain weight. So I'm not saying that he didn't look. He looks good, but he looked a little bit.
I didn't think he looked good. I thought he looked like I said, I thought his face was very red, and I thought he looked pissed. And I saw this like thing on his face, like from his forehead down to his cheek, that looked like a scar or something. I don't know what it was.
No, I hope he's all right.
I mean, I do too. The fact that he said at that point he was 201 days sober, like that's not something that happens 201 days in. Like that would have been something that would have happened, 30 to 60 days in maybe, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he did start out with saying that he was very sorry to Brittany. He said his therapist this was odd too. He said his therapist is holding him accountable for his sobriety. Andy's like, well, how do we know you're sober? Like, are you being tested?
He said he asked his therapist to drug test him.
Right.
And Brittany has them in her home.
Right. That's all bullshit.
I don't believe that his therapist is drug testing him. I don't think maybe he's going to therapy through a facility that provides that kind of service.
Like an IOP.
Yeah. Right.
Maybe, but I don't know. That's when Andy asked him, do you want to tell us the name of your rehab? And he said Psych Clarity, which I did look up, and it is a fact, a facility. It's in California, and there's many places. There's more than one location in California, and it's in more places than California. He was saying that the California law allows for him to have his cell phone.
Well, one of our listeners did comment that they were in rehab and you could earn time outside. Like you would go outside, like you could walk to a coffee place and get coffee. And at that time you would have your phone. And Jax also said that it's a state law in California that they can't hold your phone for more than 48 hours.
Right. That's what Jax said.
But it seemed that he had access to his phone every day for enough time to rage text his castmates.
Mostly his wife. Right. I mean, he did say that he should have not taken the phone even though he was legally allowed to have it. He did admit that he should not have done that. He said it wasn't appropriate. He said uncovering the cameras was not appropriate. He
He
said the
said all the
reason
right things. He said all the
Right.
right things.
He did. He said he didn't pay the mortgage because he was deep into his addiction and he was angry. Andy asked him about lying to Jason about the podcast. He didn't admit to lying about the podcast.
No,
He didn't
he
admit to
just
it.
totally skated over that.
He did say that July 1st, the divorce will be final. I don't know if that is in fact true. I guess we'll have to wait until July 20th.
Well, didn't she just go on a podcast and say that the house is completely hers?
Well, she did say that. No, she did. But
Yeah.
that has nothing to do.
So
I mean,
hopefully, no, but
yeah.
hopefully that means that. So there's always multiple components to a divorce when there's kids
Yes.
involved. So hopefully that means that the financial component is somewhat
Yes, I
taken
hope
care
so.
of. And
hope
now
so.
maybe they're just working on custody.
Okay. I hope that that is true because she did say that. She did say that on her podcast that,
Right.
you know, the house is hers and, you know, she is financially responsible for it and she's taking care of it. I sure hope she's not taking over his tax lien, but she probably
I
is.
was just thinking that.
She probably is because that's who she is and she'll just
Well,
pay
I'm
it
sure
off.
he had to. Well, so she would have had to buy him out if she's keeping the house. But maybe that's why, like, maybe that's how it worked out. Like, maybe she's not giving him as much as she would have had to.
Because a big part of it is the tax. Maybe she doesn't have to give him
Maybe
anything.
right. The tax lien came off the top of what she would have had to give him. She's only giving him half. So hopefully that minimized what she had to pay him.
I hope that that's the case. I do. And I'm confident that she can pay that off because she's a hustler. She's a hustler.
No, she's going to be fine.
He also said that he is seeing Cruz. Andy asked him about the story about him going to the hospital. Again, was not honest about it. He said it was
Oh my God, that was such a lie.
he has high blood pressure and, you know, his blood pressure was high and they had him sit there for a while and then they left it up to him whether or not he wanted to go to the hospital. And he said no, that he was fine.
And they were like, well, do you want to call your sister and let her know you're not going? And he admit to not doing that because he wanted to see how much they cared if they were going to check on him.
Right.
Fucking wacko. Call your sister and let her know you're okay. Like, talk about the boy who cried wolf.
No, I completely agree. Then when Andy asked Schwartz about like what he thought about what Jax was saying and where Jax is at, I loved how honest Schwartz was with the whole situation. He said, listen, he doesn't think he's changed. Those were his exact words. He said,
Yeah, they were.
He said, what he just said here and what's going on. He goes, I think it's pathetic. Schwartz said that. And I was like, good for you, Schwartz. He said, but I am holding space for him to do better. Like, I do think it is possible for him to get on the other side of this and to be a better person. But right now, I'm not seeing it. And
that was good. It was a very honest answer by a good friend.
It really was. And you know what? Andy even said to Jax, like, how do you feel about like what Schwartz said? And Jax was like, no, I think it's good. I mean, what else was he going to say? But I applaud Schwartz, to be quite honest with you.
For sure.
For his response to that. And Andy asked Schwartz about, you know, his relationship with Tom Sandoval because Tom Sandoval dragged him. Like, he was dragged because of Tom Sandoval.
He was. He definitely was.
He handled that like a champ too.
Mm-hmm.
He's not as close with Sandoval as he used to be, but he's on the other side of that because of his own doing, not because of Sandoval. And I think that made him learn, you know, you got to do the right thing. If your buddy's doing the wrong thing, you got to let him know he's doing the wrong thing. I think that this would have been a different conversation had he not been through what he was through with Sandoval, with Jax. You know, I think it would have been a different conversation.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, before we hang up, because we are over an hour and nobody wants to listen to us that long, but can we just talk about the Teresa Giudice interview on GN They ask her a couple of softball questions, and then the one guy goes in and says, what kind of a family doesn't pay their taxes for years? And she's like, who are you talking about? What family are you talking about? He's like, your family. Isn't that where all these fraud charges came from? And she's like, that's it. I'm hanging up. And the funniest part about the whole fucking video is she couldn't figure out how to hang the fucking thing up. is so funny. You have to watch it. Cousin Gina sent it to us.
Let me ask you this. What was the purpose of that interview? Like, why was she on that? What was she promoting? She had to be there for a reason.
I don't even know. I don't know if we see that on the video, quite honestly. We see them start to ask. The first question is the reboot of New Jersey. Do you think you'll be involved in that? And she's like, yeah, I'm the OG. Like, I hope so. Like, she kind of catches herself. Like, you could tell she wants to be like, yeah, of course, I'm the OG. I better be there. She kind of catches herself and she's like, I hope so. You got to ask Bravo that. That was the first question we see. And then the guy goes in on the taxes. But her not being able to end because you see it go sideways. It's so good.
So I'll be honest with you. When I was at work today, Robert, my coworker, came and showed me that video.
And he likes her, right?
He loves her, and he was very upset.
Still?
Oh my God, yes. No, still. So when he showed it to me, I was like, I asked him the same question I just asked you. Like, why was she on this show? Like, what was the point of this interview? And he thought that she was doing some sort of show, like a live show in Chicago or someplace. So I was like, all right, maybe that's it. But I will be honest with you. The first time I saw it, I was like, oh, and then he brought it over to me again and we listened to it. I will say, I did think that interviewer's question was extremely rude. I thought it was rude.
I totally agree.
I thought
totally
that
agree.
question was extremely rude. Like, first of all, she's here for a reason to talk about something. And this is not the reason she's here. It's not. It's absolutely not the reason she's here. So I don't blame her for getting out of the call. I did agree with you that it was hysterical that she couldn't figure out how to hang up the call. But
oh my God. When that camera went sideways, I'm like, this is fucking gold. It's just gold.
It was funny. Robert did say, Kelly's going to be happy. What is Kelly going to say about this? Because Robert was very concerned what Kelly was going to have to say about this.
He thought it was fucking hysterical. But I do agree that interviewer was way out of line.
It was rude. It was rude. Like, you do not. Like,
it was rude.
It was rude. It was rude.
It was rude.
It was rude. I 100% agree. I did think it was funny that she
couldn't
figure out how to
nonetheless.
hang up. She couldn't figure out how to hang up. But honestly, I'm gonna have to look it up.
So funny.
Like, is she appearing in Chicago right now? Someplace in Chicago.
I think she is doing something. I mean, obviously,
a live show with somebody.
Anything she's on, you couldn't pay me to follow anything she's on. But I think, what is this Dolce Caliendo? Pre-sale tickets. It's her and Alexia Friday, June 20th, tonight at 7 p.m. Magic Theater, San Antonio, Texas.
She's in Texas?
And Alexia.
Oh, in Texas. That's so funny because remember I said to you, Alexia was on Watch What Happens Live Wednesday night, or was that Thursday night?
Yeah, with Marisol.
With Marisol. I was like, I bet you she's going to see Teresa because, New York and New Jersey are right here. But they're in Texas together tonight.
They are. And somebody commented 10 IQ points between the two of them. It's the comments for me. But yeah, so they're in San Antonio tonight.
All right. I'm sorry, Robert. I do think it was rude. Kelly agrees that it was rude.
Totally. But fucking hysterical.
It's so funny, Robert. It's so funny.
So funny.
Okay. Until next time, thank you for watching and listening. Please subscribe. Check out our YouTube. Bye.
Bye.